greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free. What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers. We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
Hello and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. And of course, I'm your host, V. And today, well, we're going to try to kick this one out and get this one done correctly because, again, this will be the second time we've tried recording this, and this is going to be very successful. I've got my redundant anti-government sabotage system going up, so anti-censorship. So we will actually have this episode for you to view. Today I have with me Robin McCandless. I would call her a probate whistleblower, probate court adult protection whistleblower, because you have been victimized by them. You have a very compelling story, but first I want to get at your roots, your profession, your background, because you have everything in the world pertaining to what you're going through in your history. So please let us know who you are.
My name is Robin McCandless, and I was forever in sales, but for the last 4 years, I am a certified forensic fraud investigator, and so I look for fraud in DHS cases, whether it's CPS or now APS. I became involved because of CPS and a story with my grandchild, which I was on your radio show for. But I am now neck deep in the APS part of it.
Okay. You mentioned the radio show. Yeah, it's been 2 years. Robin McCandless was on, I believe, one of the Women at War episodes. I have to go back to my archives like 2 years ago, so I'll put that link.
The cobwebs.
I'll put that link right here on the show. But yes, so forensic fraud investigator. Did I get that right?
Yes. It's a fancy title, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
You actually have to go to school and become certified. So, but it's a natural God-given talent, so he's utilizing it to fight all these nasty people.
Sort of like how I can spot a psyop from a mile away.
Right. Yes, I can almost spot fraud without even looking at the file.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If DHS is involved, you know it's fraud.
Well, that is a very broad statement and probably 100% true.
In my experience. How about
given
that?
Your experience. Well, given my experience and testimony, that it matches up. So, these people... Okay, well, let me before we get into your case with your father, do you feel as though because you do this kind of work that you're targeted, or you're not getting any help as far as your situation
I've been on
goes?
the hot sheet for many years, and it didn't hit me till here recently. In fact, I think you and I were chatting, and my daughter was assaulted when she was 7. And, you know, you go through the process. You call a a counselor. They go to the counselor. The counselor calls these lovely people at DHS, and then you go there and they do their deal, and I call them like some lunatics, but this person that had assaulted my daughter was a stalker, and I was traveling a lot for my profession at that time, and so I put my daughter on a plane to her father's for her safety. And it didn't hit me. I remember that the caseworker was livid that I sent her to another state with a secure, structured home environment. And she just ripped me for days and continually ripped me for weeks after. And it didn't hit me until here just shortly that, oh my goodness, these people have been pissed at me for a really long time.
Okay.
Because my daughter's 30 now.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had to deal with my grandson, and I fought them tooth and nail for that, and they put me under investigation for that. He was being assaulted, and they wouldn't do anything, and I just raised holy you-know-what, and I ended up under investigation, lo and behold, for sexual assault on a minor by means of coaching. Now, this thing about their investigation, not one time have I ever been interviewed by a detective or anybody.
But you've always been under investigation. This is another way of saying that you're being surveillanced, you're being stalked, and more than likely you're having your efforts sabotaged.
Oh yeah, my phone is tapped. I mean, my house has been tossed multiple times. It's become a way of life, as sad as it is. I have no privacy. I still have the freedom for now, although I have been arrested a couple times.
Last time, this time last week or something like that, a few days ago, you were arrested as you were calling me to do the interview.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and I know what it takes for these people to actually do warrant arrest.
There was no paperwork, V.
No paperwork?
No paperwork, because see, here's the deal. In this case that I have now, I filed a federal case because I'm not messing at this state level. There's too many people involved. I've got a couple of counties involved, and they're different agencies and all that, so I just took it to federal court. I believe, I don't have proof, but I believe that they just want me in the county jail, and because I'll become lost, if you will. So there's a small town little jail that you go in, and there is really no jail there. There's a holding cell, but you can bond out. So we backdoored the people showing up to arrest me, and I went to the small little jail, and I bonded out. I was out of there within a couple hours. And my bond was not very much. It was, put it this way, it was under $500.
Okay.
And there's no charges.
No charges.
No charges.
Yeah. So, I guess that doesn't mean they'll be coming back after you.
Well, that's the second time, the first time they tried to label me as some kind of possession of illegal substance, but they impounded my truck. Actually, I was written a ticket for expired tags, but I was arrested. I put in handcuffs in the back of a squad car. My vehicle was impounded for a week. They would not let me have it. I couldn't even get my house keys, which is where I believe they got my keys.
Oh.
Yeah. And it cost me $500 to get my vehicle out. I was written a ticket for expired tags. And Oh, no proof of insurance, but I did have insurance. They just didn't let me look it up on my phone. And I got there, and they wanted a urinalysis test, and I told them they needed a warrant. And they asked me what I was hiding, and I said, I don't have anything to hide. I have rights that I can exercise, and you need a warrant for that. And they said, well, you'll be locked up until we get that warrant. I said, you do that. You go ahead and do that.
Well, you know, they just want, and that's the thing about these corrupt cops. They want you to, I mean, they're lazy. They want you to give up evidence.
The only one under any influence was the cops.
I can believe that. These steroid junkies. The only ones, I mean, they want you to give them probable cause. If they can't give probable cause, they'll lie about probable cause. If you don't want to give up evidence, then they'll make up evidence or a reason to screw with you. And it's criminal.
It's beyond criminal. They're guilty of what they. Oh, and then you know, in the drug world, if you turn out to be a rat or an informant or whatever you choose to label, that gets people killed in the streets. And they detained me and made it look. I mean, this was downtown Main Street, okay. And they're tearing my truck apart and all this and impounded it and then took me away. And then several hours later, they released me. And then this was a city police department. Then they passed along to the county sheriff's department, which I have a beef with over my case, that I was arrested for possession. Well, okay, now all the drug world thinks that I'm some kind of narc. Mm-hmm. That's a good way to get me killed and them not have to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a good way to put you out there, even though this was all false. So,
yeah.
All right, let's get into your case with the feds here, your lawsuit with the feds, because these people have obviously taken your father.
Yeah, they kidnapped him.
So, yeah, please, go ahead.
In August of last year, I got a phone call from this woman who has allegedly married my father, and we'll get into that later, but that my father has had a heart attack. He's been airlifted to another hospital in another city, and he's in a coma, where he has been in a coma and non-responsive for 3 days at this point. Well, my father has been making claims to me and other people that he has felt this woman has been drugging him for about 10 years. So when I got there, the nurse, we go through the Q&A of catching me up on what, here goes that plane again, V. That she's catching me up on what all is wrong with my father and this, that, and the other. And I wasn't even there 30 minutes and my dad opened his eyes. Okay, he's been non-responsive for 4 days at this point. Until I get there. So that pretty much kind of told me what I needed to know. And, which I started my investigation stuff, and it turns out that he has been being drugged with a substance that is basically, you wouldn't look for it because I believe he's been being drugged with potassium chloride, which would cause all of the symptoms that he had. This woman tried cutting me out of the rehab and all of that, and I got a restraining order, and there was no follow-up. She busted the restraining order and this, that, and the other. Well, when I got the restraining order, under my father's insurance, under Medicare, he gets 20 days. Every person gets the same thing for rehabilitation, whether you've had a stroke or a hangnail. You get 20 days, period. And if it takes longer than that, it's out of pocket. So we were approaching this point. And now they all know that I was medical and financial power of attorney. So I get temporary Medicaid to cover this expense, which was actually a gift to her because under the order of the court, under the protection order, she was ordered to pay all bills, keep them current. And I didn't touch any of the finances or anything. I was busy with my dad. And that's relevant here in a little bit. Her and my dad's half-brother are cohorts, if you will, decided that my father did not need this temporary Medicaid, and so they took all the asset information into the local DHS office and got it canceled. But she didn't read her paperwork because she thought she was hanging that bill for me, and it ended up being for her. That's when I became under investigation. I believe it was either my uncle or one of her relatives or something that turned me in, because it came right after the protection order. I don't know really what I was under investigation for as far as elder abuse, because my father was in a facility. And I went every day. I cooked for him every day, even though he was in a facility. And I know that's terrible abuse, but he likes my cooking. At the end of, close to the end of December, right before Christmas, because I got to bring him home Christmas Eve, I have a call. Well, there was a visit from this woman, Kelly Broomfield, APS worker in Fremont County, Colorado. And I've asked her repeatedly not to visit my father without me present, because my dad gets all kinds of it shuts him down basically for days at a time, where he just doesn't function because his trust level is pretty much out the window, and he's not dealing with things like he normally would. Anyways, this woman went to go visit my dad about the bill, which I had no knowledge of at this point. I didn't know that they had gotten Medicaid canceled or anything. My father was so upset that they had to sedate him. And I'm the one under investigation, yet I have yet to meet this woman. And my dad called me crying, and I was like 5 minutes from the facility. I'm like, I'll be there in 5 minutes, have him wait there. And she left. And you do have the recording of this call.
Okay, we'll play that recording right now.
$1,000 now. Why are you talking to him about that, Kelly? He doesn't have the mental capacity to digest that. Because he's not deemed incompetent, and until he's deemed incompetent, I mean, he can sign himself out. Oh, because he can take care of himself, right? Well, I don't believe that his staying there and incurring this debt is good for him. No, and the other thing right is, about that, but I am trying to abide by what you all have set forth in taking him home. So, that's kind of a catch-22 there. I would have had him out of here already. And why am I under investigation anyways? Because of the amount of time you've kept him from getting out of the nursing home now. Oh, I mean, that's your fault for putting burdens on me that I didn't have before. Well, that's because he has to go to somewhere that's safe.
Right, and I get that, but do you really think that I would... You haven't talked to anybody about the care that I give him to say that.
Well, all I'm going to do is turn in my report. I can't do charges or anything, so you don't have to worry about me. All I do is file my report.
I'm trying to make everybody happy, Kelly. You know, I got people coming at me all directions, and I'm trying to make sure my dad is cared for and that he stays healthy. And, you know, I guess it's don't judge some...
Okay, well, like I said, I just... at this point, I mean, I think, you know, if you could just try to get Ruby involved, that you could probably...
My dad does not want her involved.
Well, she hasn't filed for divorce, and they're still legally married.
Well, I haven't seen a marriage license yet.
Okay, well, I'll try to get that. Well, I want you to know that because both Delmer and Ruby have stated they're married, he is not going to qualify for marriage.
Okay, so that was the recording.
So you hear her tell me that because my father and Ruby are married, that he doesn't qualify for Medicaid because of the assets. So, and she tells me that the case is closed, as you heard her, that she has nothing on me. And I asked her to provide me with the marriage license because I can't find it anywhere. And I've uncovered some other stuff, but I didn't want to let the cat out of the bag. This woman didn't marry my father for a long time because she was married. She did marry him the year, in fact, a couple months after Colorado passed the law that they were not going to honor common law marriage in an estate situation. So she got her marriage license. Her problem was that she didn't file it with the state. It's not a matter of record. And she didn't do that, I believe, because she was collecting this man's death benefits.
Well, also, you mentioned to me before, off camera, that this woman has a history of doing this. She has had previous husbands in which she's collected.
There are two relationships that she's was a member of. This one that I speak of, that I think she's getting the death benefits. Same kind of situation. He had to retire early due to a sudden onset of an unexplained illness, which is exactly what happened to my dad. Also, she inherited quite a bit of property from that, and apparently death benefits and whatever else. I also just recently learned that before the marriage I just spoke of, she was involved with a co-worker much, much older than she, and he suddenly died, and she ended up with his entire estate, and they weren't even married. And that comes from family members of her, that the information does. She ended up with her stepsister's estate, and her stepsister is locked away in a long-term nursing home. I mean, I guess she doesn't have to be romantically involved with these people. So she's got a history.
Now, this woman is a serial estate taker.
She's a black widow.
She's a black widow. Yeah, that's the terminology I was actually looking for. She's a black widow. So, here's
the deal: is her son, her oldest son, was sergeant for the police force for a long time before he got asked to leave. So she's got connections.
Well, I was going to say, she must have connections that are governmental, because the government at every level is letting this slide. She's obviously not filing paperwork correctly. She's obviously not going through the right...
They're extorting money from the government.
They're extorting money from the government.
Which is a switch, but...
Well, the thing is, the government will extort money from the government.
Well, yeah, there's a whole lot of extortion going on. You know, she does this. I put together the case on elder abuse because, let's face it, these people are lazy. Okay, so I know they're not going to do anything if I just call their squawk and some allegations. So I put together the case. I put together all the medical records. I prove the case. So all they have to do is get a warrant. And you know what? My file never reached the detective, allegedly.
Conveniently.
Yeah, she broke the restraining order, violated it 5 different times. I also put all of that evidence together, and she was never arrested.
She was never arrested.
The state elder abuse laws call for a mandatory arrest just on allegations.
Just on allegations. Now,
of a violation, yep.
And, you know, the abuse to your father. Now,
she was awful to my dad. She claimed to be a nurse, an RN. I can't find a license, but she claims to be, and she's been employed by the school district as a school nurse. So there's a problem there. My father is non-compliant diabetic, okay, and he's a butt. I'll give you that. But she, being what she says she is, she didn't, treat that appropriately. She condoned self-neglect. She's narcissist. So, and very verbally and emotionally abusive. So that, and I mean, she's exploiting money from my father. You know, the day after the restraining order, she went and dumped all the bank accounts except for $32. But I can't see my father because I'm exploiting money from him.
You can't see your father because you are the natural rightful heir.
I am the only heir and the durable power of attorney financially and medically, and which threw a whole wrench in her and my uncle's little real estate fiesta they got going on.
Well, how did these people fraud their way out of, taking your power of attorney and stealing hers?
Well, okay, so in December, I took my father, I was able to take him home from rehab, and he was really battling depression. And, I'm probably the only person that could kick my dad in the butt and get him to go. He's an old cowboy, and you just don't tell him what to do. But I couldn't get through to him, and he still really wasn't very well, so he was in and out of the hospital, and, I'm advocating for that. Meanwhile, this person, we were staying at their ranch, and they were a friend of my father's. A fair-weathered friend, if you will. They are also in real estate. They got their real estate license. Suddenly in March, okay, the case is closed. My dad doesn't qualify for Medicaid. My husband and I are paying for private care because the insurance just doesn't really cover what he needs at home. And I can do everything, but I will not do pediatric care, and I will not bathe my father. He's still my father. So, that part, we utilized the help that we paid for. I also had to provide my father with clothes. He had not access to a pair of socks. Okay, in the 3 weeks that he was at the hospital that she had full access to him, she didn't so much as bring him a toothbrush. she visited there 3 times in 3 weeks. So.
Well, that's because she's out working on the next mark.
I put this puzzle together. Okay, my uncle is a broker, a real estate broker. She does her deal with however she slithers her way in there. Her son is the head maintenance guy at the local veterans home. And his wife, well, my dad paid, and she just now became the owner of her own title company. And the neighbor is the financer. It's a nice, tidy, neat little package if you don't get caught. They're using deceased. They've altered my dad's name 4 different ways in this little scheme they got going on. From the time that I was told that my father could not and would not qualify for Medicaid because of his assets, and I already knew this, but there are temporary situations. He was no longer working. From then until mid-March, he suddenly, she shows back up, and I actually met her face-to-face. She showed up at the ranch and said that we understand that your father is not getting the care that he deserves and needs. And I said, no, he's not. I mean, that's common knowledge. Anybody sick with this health care isn't getting what they deserve. But I had told her that we were working on it. Well, my father ended up in the hospital. They immediately honed back in, and I'm under full investigation again. Still, we have no marriage license. As you heard in the phone call, she was supposed to call me back on Monday. That was the middle of December. It's now March, and this is the first time I've heard from her. That tells me that Ruby and her are cohorts or something. They pretty much forcing me that I have to put my father in long-term care. Mm-hmm. And I can't take care of him by myself. So this is when the private care really came into play. These people, and your viewers need to know, do not sign any paperwork. It doesn't matter whether the hospital staff gives it to you. Just make sure you read what you sign, and if it has any mention of DHS, do not sign it. They tried to, because you know me, I'm big on where's your warrant, where's your paperwork, do you have authorization to do that? They tried to slide some paperwork through the case manager, patient manager at the hospital. She did. She had them give it to me. And I didn't sign it. Oh, and not to mention, the entire form was blank except for my dad's name.
So they can fill in whatever information that they want.
Exactly. And one of the things that they filled in was that I brought my father there in terrible shape.
Wow.
Well, that's a bunch of garbage because, you know what? The CNA had just finished giving him a bath before we got there. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, they're all lining my dad up to go to this nursing home. Medicaid pending. Now, how did that happen? How did that happen?
Well, okay. I want you to go into that after this commercial break.
Think there isn't much difference between emergency food companies? We bought competing products from recognized brands so we could show you a very simple comparison to Legacy Premium. It's easy to see. Legacy not only gives you more food for your money, but Legacy is non-GMO and tastes great.
I am V from the Red Pill Hardcore radio show and TV show. I'm here to tell you guys about my militia, the Red Pill Militia of Minnesota. The militia is there to protect the people of the United States from any enemy that may threaten our way of life, regardless of religion or political stance. We will unite the people as one to fight tyranny of any form from anywhere, including our own government. We will see the people free again. I hope you would like to join my militia. Please visit our Facebook page, The People's Red Pill Militia. Like, comment, let us know in general what you think. And if you want to be a volunteer, all you have to do is coordinate with our members. We're all honorary brothers of the militia because we all protect our freedoms, our constitutional rights, and the most important things that we have as American citizens. So please help me in protecting those rights and join my militia. Okay, and we're back. Yes, this is the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. I'm your host V, and I still have Robin McCandless with us. So back to the story. You have just taken your father to the hospital, you took your father.
Yeah, to the hospital. And I mean, he's really sick.
Your father had a bath by the CNA. It was all taken care of, and here we have what situation?
Well, now they want to force me into putting him in a long-term care facility. And this woman is telling me, why don't you just get with Ruby? I am like, this woman tried to kill my father. Is there something you don't get about that? I am not sitting in the same room with this woman, okay? It's not a good idea. So she kind of drops that, and then they have this all arranged. Well, they're forcing me to sign paperwork. My dad's a wreck, because I promised him I wouldn't make him go to a home. There's no reason for it. My father he's not a Rockefeller, but he's not destitute either. Well, he is now, but he wasn't. So at the 9th hour, and this is another one of their plays, V, they freaking get you on like a rushed time line to where they're pressuring you and you sign out of desperation or just whatever, just let it be, you don't want to go to jail, you want, whatever it is. Well, no. I'm not. I don't walk to your schedule. I don't show up for your schedule. In fact, I told you not to go there and talk to my dad without me present. And you've been there all day and you're just now calling me. They call you like 10 minutes before they're supposed to get out of work, and they don't really work late. Unless, it's a bonus type situation, I guess. So I told her I wouldn't be there for another 30 minutes. And she's like, well, I'll just leave the paperwork here. Well, then they rolled it over to the case manager at the hospital, which is just kind of a step below. They're not as bad, but they're getting there because they're in collusion with these people. And so they rush in, and I'm supposed to sign these. And I said, I'll need a minute to look over this paperwork, and I need to talk to my dad. Well, the Lord had blessed me with this woman who has her nursing license that was looking for a job, and she had met my dad, and she loved my dad and was willing to do this for an affordable amount of money. So I threw a wrench in their program because they had transport already arranged to come pick him up that night. And I didn't sign the paperwork. And we took him home.
All right.
That didn't go over very well. In fact, well, then the nurse that we hired had a death in the family, and her family is in Texas. So she needed to go home for a couple weeks, and which is understandable, and I had no problems with that. Well, they have like a part-time care available, and I needed to do it, otherwise they were going to get me for neglect, because they had already deemed that I could not alone take care of my father. I can tell you I alone took much better care of him than he's had since then, but so it's called respite care, and I call to arrange this for 2 weeks, and I get a call, and you actually have a copy of it.
Okay, we'll show that.
Hello? Hi, is this Robin? It is. Hi, it's Kelly Broomfield with Adult Protection. So I was calling this. I'm good. How are you? I'm hanging in there. I was calling you because I heard that you have changed your mind about your dad going to a nursing home.
Actually, we're just doing respite care for a couple of weeks, so.
Okay. And who's going to pay for that?
You know what, Kelly? The financial thing really isn't any of your business. So, Roland called for the paperwork. There's no file on my dad. That's kind of odd.
No, that's not true. The paperwork is there.
Okay, so what's the situation?
We're trying to get the Medicaid pending, but it's like you've got to make a choice. Are you going to put them in a nursing home? Because if you want just respite, then they'll have to go do an assessment for HCBS, which is Home-Based Community Services.
Okay, well, I'll just pay for it. I'll call Roland, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, well, just so you know, I have to keep looking into this, because if you would, cooperate, we might be able to get your dad Medicaid and he could go to a nursing home.
He doesn't need to go to. If you were that concerned, you had all. Yeah, if you were that concerned about Dad, where were you the last week?
Well, you said that you moved from the
ranch. I did,
house,
but why didn't you contact me if you were so concerned during the last week? Now something comes up that we need paperwork, and now suddenly you got to keep looking into it. You're inconsistent, so I'm pretty confused.
Well, I had told. Well, you know what, Robin?
No,
I'm
really.
not going away. So
well, that's fine. You don't have to go away.
Well, and like I said,
but where were you? Went away for the last week?
Medicaid.
You went away.
Like to see your
because you want it
Medicaid.
Because the state wants his estate. I don't think so. I'll pay for it, and I'll just finish moving forward with all the stuff. I don't understand, Kelly, why, if you're so concerned about my dad's well-being, why you didn't follow up during the last week. It doesn't make sense to me. It confuses me.
Because I had to see how you did. I mean,
you don't know where I was to see how I did. You didn't ask me for one. I haven't talked to you since I didn't sign the papers at the hospital.
Okay, well, you can, say whatever, but I'm going to keep trying to figure out a way to get your dad Medicaid and
No, you not to get a Medicaid, to get custody of him is more like it.
I don't want, no.
Well,
no, I just want to
make
make
sure. His estate when he gets Medicaid, so You know, why is there a problem with me just changing the insurance so he can have coverage for what he needs?
Yeah. Just don't understand how the insurance works.
You know, why is he being told that there's no file on my dad? Let's talk about that. You're making it much harder than it has to be. He should already be there this morning, and because of DHS having no file or no record, he can't get anything.
He's not going to get Medicaid pending. And like I said...
Why? Is it only Medicaid pending when you say it's Medicaid pending? Or I don't understand how that works.
No, because what you're saying is you just want him to go to the nursing home for respite.
Oh, so...
He has to qualify for HCBS.
He can qualify for temporary Medicaid. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'll just take care of it and we'll be done with it. Because this is the biggest runaround ever.
Okay. Goodbye.
And that was the call.
Don't you like how in December she says he will not qualify, and now she will find a way to get him on Medicaid? Guess she needs a bonus.
Yeah.
They take my father he's got private insurance that comes out of his SSI check every month. It's paid for before he ever even gets his own check. So it's never, he never lapses. Now, it's not the best insurance in the world, but it is insurance.
Yes.
Now they're going to force him into Medicaid, and they take him to, they're forcing me, and I'm under full investigation. Like, the detective has called me, and you have a couple of calls that you can play with the detective. They're wanting to know where my dad is because he's in the hospital.
Okay, we'll play those.
Hi, is this Robin?
It is.
Hey, it's Detective Burton with Fremont County Sheriff's Office. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Not too bad. Hey, we were wanting to do a welfare check on Delmer. Where is he at right now?
He's in Pueblo.
He's in Pueblo? Was he at the hospital there?
He is.
He is? Okay.
He was admitted last night. He's septic.
Last night because he's septic? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you up there too right now?
I'm going to be headed that way here shortly. I made a short stop in Florence, but I'm on my way.
Okay. All right. Do you know where he's at, like as far as in the wet room and stuff?
I don't have it on me. It's in my vehicle, but he's at Parkview.
He's at Parkview. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, if you could just let us know, what's going on if he does get out.
Oh, absolutely. I told her I would.
Okay. All right. Cool. Sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate your help.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
One South, this is Nicole.
Hi, Nicole. This is Robin McFarland McCandless. I'm Delmer's daughter.
Uh-huh. I'm sorry. Whose daughter?
Delmer McFarland. She's in 105.
Oh, okay. Let me get you her nurse. His nurse.
Live outside of Pueblo. We can provide your...
This is Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. This is Robin. I'm Delmer's daughter.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. How's Dad?
He's doing good.
Is he? Okay. How's his sugar today?
It was up in the 300s this morning, but last time I took it for lunch, it was, I want to say 90. Yep, it was 90.
Okay, can you hold on just a second? Let me grab this real quick. Hello?
Hey, Robin?
Sorry, I was running for the phone.
It's okay. It's Detective Burton again. Hey, I just called down to the hospital and they said that he wasn't admitted in there.
He is. He's under private care. If you want to hang on just a second, I was just calling them.
Okay.
So I can conference us, okay? Can you hold on a second? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. Are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did Lori explain to you about my deal with DHS and everything in Fremont County?
A little bit, but...
Okay, well, I have a detective. She's raising holy hell with the law here. That's who's on the other line. I'm going to merge us. I don't want them to know anything other than he's okay and that he was admitted for being septic. And just because they need to know that he's okay. And
okay.
then I'm going to merge us right now.
Well, hold on here. 'Cause it was just his blood cultures haven't come back yet. So we don't.
Well, okay, but the doctor told me last night his was 33. His white count was 33.
Yeah.
So we can tell him that, right?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, hold on. Detective?
Yes.
Okay, I have Sarah, his nurse, on the line here if you would like to ask her.
Hi, this is Sarah from Parkview.
Hi, how's it going? We just called up there and we were checking on Delmer to see undetected burden of Fremont County Sheriff's Office also had a green failed with adult protective services. But, so what's going on with him right now?
Well, he was admitted to the hospital. Started out with the UTI. And turns out that he may be septic. His white count is critically high, and his urine did come back with gram-negative rods. We're just waiting for the last result of exactly what bacteria it is, and then it takes up to 5 days for blood cultures to get back, so they're pending right now.
Okay. What room is he in right now?
He's in 105, bed 2.
105?
Yep.
Okay. All right. What floor is it? I'm sorry.
1 south.
1 south. All right. Kelly, you got any questions? No.
Kelly, want to know anything else, Detective?
She said no. I think we're good to go right now. Thank you for calling us and making that happen. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, cool. Bye.
Sarah, will you stay on the line, please?
Mm-hmm.
They don't get in to talk to him without a warrant.
Okay.
All right? And this is a money game. And she is friends with his alleged wife who had been poisoning him, which put him in the shape that he's in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And just a Reader's Digest real condensed version here. And they're after me to sign his estate over for Medicaid.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so no warrant, no visit.
Okay.
And they don't get to see him without me present.
Okay.
All right, thanks, doll.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
And, I love how the detective is a puppet to this caseworker.
Most of these police officers are these people.
Why? I don't get it.
These people who show up to your homes in these CPS cases, the CPS worker will show up and will oftentimes have a police officer standing right behind them. More than often, that police officer does not know why he's there. He's just told to be there. And it's for the CPS to be all imposing and threatening when they really don't have any authority.
Well, and that was the only time I've talked to a detective were those phone calls right there. And you can, at the end I say, oh, is there anything else Kelly would like to know? Because you can hear her telling him what to ask. And so, anyways, I tell the hospital, and you can hear it in that call, if she shows up, she does not see my father. Unless she has a warrant. And if she has a warrant, she may serve it when I'm present. They didn't have a warrant. And they went there 4 times. Yeah, we have a little deal with the hospital. That's why we're in federal court, because there's so many people.
And this hospital did not take very good care of your father. You sent me pictures. Would you like me to show the pictures?
Well, that's not the hospital. That's where they've put him.
That's where they took him home.
Yeah, which I pulled him out of in May. They forced me into there in April. And you can show the pictures. We can kind of go through it. It kills me. It just kills me. I pulled him out of there Mother's Day, and I took him for a picnic, and we really had plans to go for a picnic. I lost my mom when I was very young, so my dad's, we celebrated Mother's Day and Father's Day. When I pulled him out of there, we have an Amber Alert, sorry.
Well, isn't that fitting?
I know.
They're kidnapping children all over the place. Kidnapping people.
Yes, they are. And this state's worse because we have so many prisons. So, G4S, via Wackenhut, whatever you want to call them, they're involved and they pay primo money for this garbage. But that's a whole nother episode. Anyways, so I take my dad to another city and take him to a very reputable hospital to have a forensic exam done, because I don't know if I'm still under investigation at this point. Nobody's doing anything or, whatever. But I want this documented because I don't want to be blamed for it. Okay, so we have a forensic investigation. The examiner calls the Pueblo County APS and files a complaint against the facility and also the police department against the facility. It was over, that was Sunday. On Tuesday, I believe, or late Monday, I get a call from this rabid APS worker telling me, basically and I don't have a recording of this one, but asking me who the hell I think I am, and that I snuck my dad out of there. I didn't sneak him anywhere. I signed him out, and I had him give him his insulin before we left. So I don't really know how that was sneaking, but she tells me she is going to charge me with all the allegations of abuse that the forensic examiner called her on. And not that day, but the next day, I show up at the hospital to see my dad, and he's gone. They took him without papers, and guess what? They returned him to the very facility that was reported for abuse, and that's where he still is. I got a call from the hospital because he needed some surgeries. He had like a breast cancer tumor. Oh, sorry. I don't even know where that's coming from, but
that's another person kidnapped, probably by the system. Okay.
Yeah.
Please.
So, I am forbidden to see my father. So my dad is taken. Okay, now keep in mind, my dad has early onset dementia. He has sundowners, and he's had a watershed stroke. So what do you think? Taking him out of an environment and excluding him from the only person that he's known to love and care for him for the last year, what do you think that does to him? These people need charged with abuse. This is just like the meanest thing they could ever do to anybody. Absolutely. And then not to mention that the facility is strapping him down and beating him, and they don't feed him right. And I mean, he's got wounds and, infection and all this. Well, I get a phone call from the hospital about a pre-op appointment. And I'm like, well, I was really happy that they had finally scheduled this surgery because it needed to be done like months ago. And so I go to the hospital about the time for the pre-op so I can see my dad. because they're not letting me in the facility. I am like on, because I went there one time and I snuck in through the cafeteria at dinner time and I was quickly 86ed. And I only left without a stink because I feel really bad for those people. I didn't want to cause my dad any stress, but they had no paperwork to provide me. In fact, they couldn't even give me the name of a detective or which county I should call for these alleged allegations that I'm being investigated for. So I go see him at the hospital.
Maybe there's a big...
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, I'm one of these that's screaming from the rooftop, where is your paperwork? You need paperwork.
There's no paperwork.
You can't just do this.
Well, you mentioned something to me earlier about paperwork coming to you that you filed, coming back to you, stamped by different offices that you didn't even file it at.
Well, that's another whole coercion story, and I'll get to that because I have to. We're almost to the point where I file. So I see my father, and he is just, when I saw him in the cafeteria for the first few times, he just knows I'm there to bust him out of that place because he looks at me and goes, "How do you want to play this?" As soon as they see me, I'm going to be out of here. But, I had to tell him that I just didn't abandon him there. And, their story, divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. If you cause problems in the family where there's a bond, then you can conquer the situation.
That is the government's #1 way of social engineering today. They know that the family is the structure, the primary foundation of our society in America.
Yep.
And so what are they going to do? They're going to destroy the family unit.
Yep, and they're very good at it. But you know what? Me and my daddy for a really long time, and they just can't get her done. So anyways, I get a call from the rabid APS licensed lunatic the next day, and you have that call.
Okay, we'll play it.
Hello?
Hi, is this Robin?
It is.
Robin, this is Jennifer Whiteman from Adult Protection. I spoke with you a few weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I have some concerns. I got a phone call yesterday that you went down to the hospital and tried to convince your dad to not have the surgery he needs.
No, I saw my dad, and I didn't say a word. He told me that he was having surgery. I didn't say a word.
That's not the report I got from the hospital, the nursing home, and his brother. Okay,
I have a witness that was there with me.
Okay.
And I just saw my dad.
You need to stop talking and listen to me right now. I asked you to stay away from him while we're doing this investigation. There is concerns about your involvement with your father. There is much question about your involvement with your father. You need to know that we're seeking guardianship on him. And I'm going to file for a restraining order today. So at this time, you are not to contact him any further until we have some resolution on this case. Now, if you would like to be a part of it, to help us figure things out, to help me sort out some of these details, have your side of things, I would love to have you involved. I really, really do need your input on this and some information from you so I can figure out what's what. What I have in front of me looks really bad for you.
Which is what?
I have caretaker neglect and exploitation at a felony level.
Okay. I'd be happy to explain anything you'd like to know.
Okay. What I need to know is your notary that signs your POAs. I need her contact information.
Okay.
That's what I need to know.
Do you have an email?
Yes.
What does that have to do with exploitation and caretaking?
Because you're using this POA for your own benefit and accessing funds.
No.
Or you were accessing funds. Ma'am, it's part of my case, so I need to talk to this person.
Can I answer the question, do you ever stop talking so somebody else can talk? I would like to answer a question for you.
Really. I need her contact information. And then we will go from there. Is this a personal friend of yours? Where did you locate this person?
You want to talk to my lawyer?
I would love to. Who is your lawyer?
I'll have him get a hold of you.
That means you don't have a lawyer. Okay, so
No,
you might want to let your notary friend know that I'm going to go through the notary registry and have her called in and have her licensure looked at because I believe that this was done fraudulently.
Okay.
So I can go through the registry and do it with her cert and have that put on hold.
Your
Or
email
you can give me.
Shut up for a minute, and I will answer your question. Okay? I said I would give you the contact information.
Okay.
Don't you just love how she doesn't let me answer anything and hangs up on me?
Wow. And yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't even know what they're doing. And they should really get their story straight. So that call from Jennifer where she says we're going after guardianship, I'm like, okay, I have durable financial and durable medical. Is there really any wiggle room? And there is, just a tiny bit. So I go to the courthouse in the county where my father's home is, where I resided with him, and the whole 9 yards, and file for guardianship, which is also the county that I got the protection order out of. Which, I know they would never change dates on a trial without asking you or telling you or anything, but I missed the date for permanent orders on the restraining order, and so it was no longer. I was actually with my father, and he was having surgery on the date that they had court, which was okay. I just wanted to prove I could get him well, and I did that. So I go file for guardianship. I file emergency papers. And, well, first of all, I tried to get another restraining order, and the judge didn't really want to issue a restraining order against state employees since that's who writes his check. Mm-hmm. So it was tossed. I file for guardianship. I have, and we can play the phone calls whenever you want, that I have a conversation with the clerk, and you can hear what she says about me meeting her and my judge and all of that.
Okay, we'll play it.
By tomorrow,
Okay.
and then I'll set up a time. What time works good for you to come in?
Anytime tomorrow.
Anytime? Okay.
Yeah, so just, you can shoot me an email or a call or whatever. I just want to touch base because I knew you were getting ready to be done for the day.
Yeah,
So.
actually, we'll leave at 4:30. Maybe you want to just set it for 10, and then when you come in, we'll find a date for you. I'm looking, actually, to set your hearing because it's filed on an emergency basis on August 1st.
Yeah.
Because I know they have to be set within 14 days, and he's here. I can ask somebody else that's doing emergency, but that's less than a week away.
I know. I just haven't seen him for a while, and I worry about him.
I understand your situation completely.
Okay.
However, we do have the one judge that handles the guardianship cases. So
yes. What judge is that?
It's Judge Groom is his name.
Okay.
To appoint counsel, like I said, that's just standard policy. We have to do it on an emergency basis.
Okay, sure.
For the respondent.
That's great. I'm all for it.
Right, even if he's incapacitated. The thing is that's not an automatic state paid thing.
Right.
So he'll be responsible, or his estate will be responsible for those attorney fees unless he qualifies for indigency.
Well, he hasn't worked, but he's got assets.
Right. Well, you might try to fill out it's a JDF 208.
Okay.
It's a motion for a court-appointed counsel. Fill it out, and it certainly isn't going to hurt to get that filled out. Get it with the court and let the judge determine whether he qualifies for the indigency or not.
Okay.
Would save him some money because it's, like I said, it's a required thing. We'll have to have
oh yeah, he'll tell you that he wants, me, and whenever somebody asks him to do something or whatever, he'll tell him to talk to me.
Right. And visitor too. He'll have to have a visitor appointed, but the visitor probably won't get to him until closer.
Yeah, what is the visitor for?
The visitor will come and she'll meet with your father, and she'll meet with you, and she reports to the court as to what's going on with with the family member and with you, and if she has any recommendations, like if she wants a guardian ad litem appointed to represent the best interest of the respondent, or different things like that. She can also.
Now, what are these qualifications?
Well, they
just
have
interested.
Yeah, they have to take different training, and then they file those with the court, the certificates, of completion that they've taken these trainings. They also have to keep with the court a copy of their background information, like a CBI criminal history check, and we do a credit check just to make sure that they're, not going to cause you any issues, or the individuals when they come into your
him for a while, and he's too much for me by myself. I mean, I'm not, in denial or anything. My husband and I hired a private nurse and CNA, and we paid for it. He does have insurance, but just trying to dance around, they're going to give you an hour here and maybe an hour there and all of this, and so we just hired somebody. So the times that I did have him at home, we had private help. Right. He's my father still, and I don't do peri care or showers. I'll do everything else, but that's if he's still my dad. I want him to still be my dad.
Exactly, yeah.
So.
Okay, well, it does sound like you've had quite a little run of things here.
Yeah,
and
interesting.
Like I said, I'll certainly see what I can find out about trying to do something a little bit earlier for you.
Okay.
And then I'll get with you tomorrow. Have
all
you
right.
sign all these papers, make sure that we're proper in order. Hopefully I will have a response from some of the attorneys to figure out who his appointed counsel might be.
Okay. All right,
just
great.
so that you're not, hit blindsided by it, like, who is this person calling me?
Sure, absolutely.
And then we can kind of go from there. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye. Hello.
Hi, this is Samantha from the court. I'm trying to reach Robin.
This is Robin.
Hi, Robin. How are you?
Good.
I'm just calling to let you know that the judge went ahead and reviewed your case, and it's actually been dismissed, so we don't need to meet this morning.
Okay.
There's already a guardian appointed in the Pueblo case, so.
There's a case in Pueblo?
Mm-hmm.
And who is appointed?
Well, it's coming to you through the order, so like I said, we don't have jurisdiction, so it's, like I said, it's been dismissed, and there won't be any further proceedings in the Fremont case.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got that.
Okay, now you want to play the one that she calls me. That call right there was at 4 whatever. You can tell me, and you heard her saying that she's going home, that her day's over. The next call is before 8:30 in the morning.
Okay.
They dismissed my case. A judge signed it. I get this paperwork. And there was never any case in another county because I stalked the docket multiple times a day because I knew this woman was up to shenanigans, and I didn't know if it was going to be in that county or in the county where my uncle lives, but I knew it was coming, and I knew he was behind it. So there was no case. Miraculously, I hang up from that call. Well, blow me over, there's a case on the docket.
Really?
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. You have a screenshot of what I saw.
I'm show it now. And also, is this the federal lawsuit that you're talking about?
No, this prompted the federal lawsuit, okay?
Okay, well,
because
let's
okay. The clerk called the APS worker in Fremont County. This is how I played in my mind. This is how it had to be because there's no wiggle room here because of very few people knew what was going on, and that was who handled the paperwork and who filed the paperwork. Well, I sure as hell didn't call APS, I can tell you that much. So I'm guessing that the clerk here in Fremont County called Kelly Broomfield, the caseworker in Fremont County, and she called Jennifer Whiteman, the caseworker in Pueblo County, the lovely rabid woman that you've heard. And they quickly got a hold of the clerk, and there's suddenly a case. I went directly to the courthouse in Pueblo County. It's like 20 some miles. I walk in there, and the clerk tells me, I'm sorry, you cannot have copies of the file. And I'm like, why not? Because you're not a party to the case. Really? I'm not a party to the case. Are you kidding me? I happen to be his sole heir and power of attorney. I believe that makes me party to the case. So I leave there going, okay, they didn't give me copies because there isn't any paperwork in it. There's not a case file because they just made it up. So that's what really, right there, that's what prompted the federal. And since then, right after Pueblo County was served with the fact that I had a file that I wanted it removed from state court to federal court. And I had to put them on notice in Pueblo County. They thought I was joking because they had a couple more hearings that I could see on the docket, but I wasn't privy to anything because I'm still not a party to the case. Now the court-appointed visitor, she says she's court-appointed, but if you'll listen in this call when she calls me, I believe she says that Jennifer Whiteman called her.
Okay.
Now, she's supposed to be a third party, neutral party for my dad. Mm-hmm. Now, the conspiracy's going to get real deep now, V.
Well, we got to do it here in the next 2 minutes to wrap it up for the end of the show.
There's no way.
There's no way. Well, hit me with the facts. And
the facts are that my dad had his surgery. I have recording of that visit that you can play now. Then the visitor goes to see my dad when he is hospitalized. They're saying for a stroke, but this is when he is beaten and gets a traumatic brain injury.
Okay, yeah.
And I have the recording from my last visit that I went to see my dad, and he tells me he didn't have a stroke, and they got a hold of him. And he tells me in the meeting before that, when I'm at the hospital, that when he gets back there, they're gonna get a hold of him. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he ends up with traumatic brain injury. They're passing it off as a stroke. I have all the notes from his medical records visit of that, and you can see that what they're testing him for is not conducive of what you treat a patient with a stroke. And this is when they go in and interview my dad about how he feels about a guardianship and to see if he's cognitive and competent. Really? And he's begging them not to send him back there. Mm-hmm. And they do it anyways. I tried to go visit again on his birthday, the 22nd. And if you want to show it, I have a recording of us trying to get in there. And then I also was cited for harassment. I have court on the 17th of October.
Okay. Well...
And my uncle
yes.
is temporary guardian.
Temporary guardian. Okay.
Yes.
Do you memorize the number? Do you have the docket number for your lawsuit? Because I want people to follow this case.
It is, I don't know it off the top of my head, but
Well, you can tell me later, and I'll put it into the show right here.
Okay. 17, whatever. Okay. Oh, and that's when I got the copy of it. I filed for a continuance of the last case to bring up the paper that you said before. I filed a continuance with the clerk in Pueblo County because my father is entitled to counsel. I'm supposed to be notified. I'm listed as a party, an interested party on their paperwork. And 2 days ago, I get something in the mail from Fremont County Courts, and it says that I filed that in Fremont County. I've got proof, and I'll give you that paperwork too. I faxed it. And it wasn't to Fremont County, it was to Pueblo County. Mm-hmm. So now I have to prove that they were conspiring. So I think we're going to be looking at the RICO Act.
Spring on the RICO Act, baby.
Oh, boy, hey, go big or stay home, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You know, this is something we're going to follow. I hope that my viewers will get used to the idea that I'm going to have a lot of these guests on multiple times. I want you guys to be able to follow their stories. And, you know, you can watch the show if you are interested in helping by contacting my guest, offering them resources, offering them some sort of financial or moral support. Please do that. That's why I put everyone's links into the show. So please do that. And what's this woman's name? This Black Widow? Because I want to sick Anonymous on her and get her doxxed, see what she owns, see who she screwed over. Let's get the official paperwork. Where's my hacktivist?
Well, I've got a background report. I'll send that to you, and along with her name and her birthday. Her name is Ruby Pratt. She was born February 15th of 50-something, I don't know on the top of my head. And I won't give her address, but I could.
Well, the docs will expose everywhere she's been. So, we need to expose people like this. We need to get rid of the Black Widows, and which I'm sure she's fully supported by the system, some government.
Well, yeah, I mean, they made it all disappear. How else can you do that?
She's supported by a judge, a high-level sheriff. She's supported by people. See, the government will rip you off. The government will rip itself off through someone else and appropriate funds to go somewhere else. This is the shell game, ladies and gentlemen. That's why this woman seems to be untouchable. And I'm pretty sure these lands she's getting, these businesses are going to be. Well, I'm pretty sure they are going to be used for something governmental, maybe something the police could use, something, because that's how they grab territory, and that's how they grab being able to do things like have people over here and to gang stalk people over here and scare up more funds and.
Oh, you mean like Walmart?
I'm sorry.
Like Walmart?
Jade Helm.
Sorry, that's a whole nother thing.
So, there are psychological operations, psyopses, that are done at local level, your local police, so corrupt.
This town has got it all. I mean, it's got it all. Human trafficking, pornography, prostitution, corruption, cover-up, drugs, you name it. And it's not even a very big county.
That's why people get away with their crimes that are within local government. It's not a very big situation. You know, I would rather be pulled over by a police officer in a very crowded, populated area than on some deserted road in some back alley deserted area.
Prison town? In some prison town?
Yeah, right, correct. So
you mean you probably wouldn't go to jail for expired tags, would you?
Probably end up in the back of a swamp somewhere. So, but anyways, thank you for coming on the show. And
thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. And
let's shut these people down before you're sitting here with your own story, people. And let me tell you what.
Learn.
The tears don't make it go away.
Learn from history. Learn from people's experiences before it becomes your own. In the land of surveillance, the man with third eye is king, so educate yourself.